Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to my podcast. Today is day 2 of podcast. So there there's a couple things I could talk about. First of all, I'm very proud of the growth my channel has been making. I've been watching my views and subscribers every day, likes going up, everything. First of all, I appreciate it so much. I thank you all for the support on the last I got so excited. I thank you guys all for the support on the last video. I have another video coming. Uh, Honestly, the upload schedule is complicated, but I don't want to spend too much time. I don't want to take up anybody's time. This is going to be a kind of shorter day. My goal is to only record for 30 minutes. So I don't want to yap. Don't want to do too much. I just want to get straight into it. Okay. So here's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about the Trump administration's big bill. So it's called the One Big Beautiful Bill, but there's not much beautiful about it unless you're one of his ultra wealthy friends, then it doesn't really benefit you. But I just want to jump straight into it. It is a 900 plus page bill that combines tax cuts, spending changes, and federal budget stuff all in one. It covers everything from healthcare and food assistance to taxes, education, border security, and energy. So it's a lot into one. It's a lot of stuff jammed into one bill. First of all, the bill was rushed through Senate super fast. Trump and Republican leaders want it passed by the 4th of July so they can call it a big win for their agenda. But the reality is, this thing is packed with cuts to program millions of Americans rely on. It's being sold like it's going to help working families and reduce inflation. Almost all the data and expert reviews say otherwise. It extends Trump's 2017 tax cuts, but permanently this time. And yeah, those cuts mainly benefit the rich. It also includes massive cuts to Medicaid, Medicare, food stamps, or SNAP, clean energy programs, and public education support. Meaning, while it increases spending on border security, ICE, military defense, and gives new tax breaks to ultra wealthy donors, I don't know why I thought there was something else. So, to keep it all simple, the bill gives rich folk a financial boost and pays for it by cutting stuff that regular people depend on. So let's talk about how the bill got this far. This far. The bill made it through the Senate just a few days ago. It was close. The final vote was a procedural motion to commit that failed, 49 to 51. And Vice President J.D. Vance broke the tie in favor of passing it. A few moderate Republicans were hesitant at first. Some said the bill was rushed, others were concerned about how much it adds to the national debt. But pressure from Trump and party leadership made it clear fall in line or face the consequences. Um, I've also noticed that there's been some background talks that Trump like to say, you still have to make it through the primary, right? And threaten these people or the Republicans who are like iffy about it and getting them to ultimately vote yes. Now the bill is heading to the House of Representatives. Um, and they want it passed fast before the 4th of July deadline. The way Trump can claim it as a win during his campaign rallies. So most House Republicans are backing it, but some Republicans, especially from swing districts, are still iffy. And Democrats are fully against it, warning it will devastate working people and balloon the national debt. So, as for now, the Senate passed it, the House is next, and depending on when you hear this, it may have already gone through. But whether it passes or not, what's inside the bill matters because it shows you exactly where his priorities are, protecting the wealthy, cutting support for everyday people, and using fear policies to rush the whole thing through. So, in summary, as you can see, even some Republicans are like, we don't know about this. This is a big bill, and some people, some Republicans are feeling pressured, Some are like strong no's on this, some are like, hmm, I might just vote no on it, but it's a whole bunch of stuff going on right now. But they're trying to rush it so they can claim it as a win on the 4th of July because, it's a holiday and he wants to go and celebrate that. But as you can see, the ties were close. The procedural motion to commit had failed, and then the final vote had passed because JD Vance was the tiebreaker in that. But they know that this is not going to be easy. It passed the Senate. They pushed it fast. It passed the Senate. Now they have to go through the House. And there's some other procedures that fall into place in between time in the meantime. But that's just the main things that's going on now. As you can see, they're trying to rush it. They're making some progress, but ultimately there's not a definite answer whether it'll go through or not just yet. So just understand the fact that Republicans are actually like saying no, we're not going to vote on it says a lot. It says a lot. That shows how extreme things are getting, because even with some of the other extreme stuff that was a little less extreme, they all voted yes. Well, most of them, not all of them, always votes yes. Most of Republicans, like 98% of them, usually vote yes, no matter what. Some of them don't even read it. They just vote and then they're done. But with this, um, they're kind of iffy about it. So that says a lot about how extreme this is. Here are a few things that the Republicans were worried about. One of the top things being the national debt. This bill adds $3.3 trillion to the federal deficit over the next 10 years. Number two being the rush timeline. Lawmakers had very little time to read the full bill, let alone understand all of its impacts. Three, the political pressure. Some Republicans didn't like how Trump and his allies basically bullied them into supporting it. Senators like Rand Paul and Mitt Romney expressed serious concerns. Even a few House Republicans in purple districts have been publicly hesitant, saying their voters don't support massive cuts to healthcare and food assistance just to give billionaires more tax breaks. So yeah, there is a division in the party, but the pressure is real. Trump's grip on the Republican base means that a lot of lawmakers are afraid to vote no, even if they disagree with the bill. And that tells you something. Like I said earlier, when a bill is so controversial that even people from the same party are unsure about it, that's a red flag. More proof that this bill isn't just some clean cut pro American deal. It's rushed political move with real consequences. So, like I said, there's some real pressure and division within the party. But now the issue is even people in the same party can't even agree on stuff and have these major disagreements in their own party. Now down to the realer stuff. Um, this is a breakdown of who it helps and who it doesn't. Let me just start by saying who it helps is a lot shorter than who it hurts. Um, so let's go ahead and just break it down for you. The top 1%, meaning the wealthiest people among us, get permanent tax cuts, right? Wealthy families with tax shelters like MAGA savings accounts, W's, right? Big corporations, more deductions, less regulation. Private school donors, tax breaks for giving to elite education institutions. That's it for who it helps. Let's talk about who it hurts. Who it hurts are people on Medicaid. They estimate 11 million people could lose coverage. People who rely on SNAP slash food stamps, up to 5 million could lose benefits or see cuts, which is ridiculous. It's considering that stuff is still at a high. You go to the grocery store and you can spend $100, and $100 10 years ago at the grocery store seems like a lot more than it does now. Um, but anyways, nevertheless, this is the bill. Um, Middle class workers, temporary tax relief now, but tax hikes after 2028 when the benefits expire. Rural communities, hospitals at risk of closing due to funding cuts. Anyone who benefits from clean energy, public schools, or affordable health care will suffer. Do your research, because when you look into who gains and who loses, it's clear that this bill is a transfer of wealth upward, not a helping hand to those who are in most of need. And after doing my research, before doing my research, I had thought this doesn't help the middle class at all. And I guess it doesn't, but there's some temporary reliefs that we'll get is there's some benefits. Very, very little. Definitely not worth it. I guess that's just for Republicans to say, oh, it literally helps middle class. It helps working families. It does this. It lowers inflation, and they're gonna push that narrative out so much for so people can be like, okay, well then why aren't our representatives voting for it? Yeah, but that's like the fine print because what actually happens is there's a lot of destruction and there's a lot of more stuff that goes into this. It's not just one thing. It's a whole bunch of other stuff that goes into this. Now let's talk about the middle class. Since we're already talking about the middle class, let's really talk about it. Because when they're talking about middle class, they always get caught up into all the debates. So this bill gives the middle class some short-term tax relief. That sounds good, but who doesn't want more money in their paycheck? But here's the catch. Most of those benefits expire in 2028. After that, unless another law is passed, taxes could actually go up for a lot of working people. At the same time, the bill cuts federal support for healthcare, food assistance, energy programs, and public schools, all of which middle class families still to this day rely on. Here's what it can mean in real life. Your insurance premiums go up, local schools can get less funding, you pay more on energy bills up to $400 more a year. You could lose access to that offer clean energy credits or help with childcare. So even if you get a small break on your taxes now, you're paying more in other areas. And after 2028, that break disappears. It goes away. And I'm sure there's a excellent reason that Donald Trump would tell you why he made it expire in 2028. But, whatever. So the bottom line is this bill gives the middle class a moment of relief, but long-term impact could hurt them just as much as it hurts low-income families. So far at this point, you can ask yourself, does this benefit me? Does this benefit my family? If the answer is no, you already know that they're pinching a whole bunch of. Matter of fact, let me rephrase that. If you say the answer is yes, that's a whole bunch of BS. Because I know there's nobody who's making over 100,000 a year watching my video, and if you are, I mean, I guess that's cool. You can decide this for whether this is worth it or not. And I mean, this is just the facts. I'm not doing anything biased for any personal gain reasons, nothing like that. I'm just talking about what it is and why this bill is so bad, and why I have even personally called my representatives in Oklahoma the reddest state of all the states. I called them, I called 3 out of 5 of them, and I left a message. I was like, I'm urging you to vote no because this hurts the middle class family. And even though my family personally doesn't benefit off of, that doesn't mean that this still won't hurt people that I know. And that, just because that doesn't affect me, doesn't mean that the healthcare insurance won't affect me. I'm on that. So if I lose access to that, I may not be able to go see my regular doctor and stuff like that. That affects me. And I know it affects a lot of my friends too. So that's why I'm here talking about this now. So let's get into the actual cuts. I know I've talked about it already before, but I want to get into the actual cuts itself. Um, this bill slashes federal funding for programs that support health, education, and the environment. Here's what's getting cut and how it's going to affect people. Healthcare, Medicare getting gutted. Experts estimate 11 million people could lose coverage. It also cuts subsidies under the Affordable Care Act that would help low income families afford insurance. Education, as we talked about before. Public social grants are reduced, especially Title I funding that helps schools in low income areas. Cuts to the Pell Grants and student aid programs make college even less affordable. Energy, clean energy incentives are rolled back, including solar and electric vehicle tax credits. The bill boosts fossil fuel spending while cuts renewable energy investments. Other services, food assistance through SNAP is reduced, meaning smaller benefit amounts or fewer people eligible. Housing support, housing support program face cuts, hurting renters and low-income families. These aren't small trims. They're major reductions that ripple through entire communities. The people who feel it most are the ones already struggling to make ends meet, which is devastating to say. I'm so just blown that this is the reality. Here's the actual amounts they're cutting. Healthcare, 900 billion in total healthcare cuts over the next 10 years. Education, 110 billion cut from education programs, including Pell Grants and K through 12 funding. Energy, 120 billion in clean energy cuts. SNAP or food stamps facing $300 billion in cuts. Housing and rental assistance down by nearly 50 billion. All these cuts made to redirect money into $1 trillion in permanent tax cuts, 400 billion in defense and military increases, 100 billion for ICE border wall construction and immigration enforcement programs. That's it for that section. So, I mean, I don't have any words. Like, I don't know. I don't think they care about the impacts this has on children my age. It's just ridiculous. Here's the actual reason for these cuts. So, where's all the money going? Military and defense. This bill pumps 400 billion more into the Pentagon. That includes new weapons systems, defense contracts, and expanding military bases. ICE and border security. 100 billion is being funneled into border wall construction, detention facilities, surveillance technologies, and expanding ICE operations. Immigration enforcement programs are being boosted across the board. Law enforcement expansion. More funding for federal law enforcement programs, including grants to local police departments, especially those involved in border related operations. Supporters of this bill says it is about security and protecting Americans' borders, but critics argue that it's just a way to justify slashing domestic aid programs in favor of Trump's political priorities. More military spending, stricter immigration enforcement, and feeding the national security industrial complex. So I guess the answer to let's say food stamps are being cut, right? Your money that you get for food stamps, right? All those funds they put into food stamps, it's going to be going to ICE. And as you know, in my last video, we talked all about that, of how aggressive it was getting and how chaotic all that stuff was getting. Putting more money into that means that he's trying to really, really speed up this process, deport all these legal aliens out of the country because they are a threat to the American people. I'm not sure exactly what they're trying to accomplish here. I mean, I am sure what they're trying to accomplish here. It's just not realistic, and they're just trying to find a way to force this stuff to go through and force this stuff to happen. This bill makes it crystal clear on who's being prioritized, and it's not us. I mean, I that to me is no surprise, but hey, uh, nevertheless, extension of Trump's plan. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Oh my gosh, my cat's going crazy. This bill is basically a continuation of Trump's 2017 tax plans, but on steroids. Back in 2017, Trump's Tax Cuts and Jobs Act gave huge breaks to corporations and the wealthy, but of the most individual tax cuts for working people were temporary. The new bill, it makes those wealthy tax breaks permanent, while still letting the ones for regular people expire in a few years. Here's what's in it: permanently extend tax cuts for the top 1%, like I talked about earlier. Slashes the corporate tax cut even further. Adds on new tax shelters like the MAGA savings account, which mostly benefit rich families and investors. It's the same old tired playbook. I mean, trickle down economics. Um, the idea is if you help the rich, the benefits will magically trickle down everyone else. But history shows it doesn't work out like that. I've actually read about that same exact sentence before. These tax policies don't create enough jobs or boost wages. They just grow wealth inequality, billionaires get richer, and the rest of us get crumbs, if anything at all. So when people call this bill the second coming of the Trump tax plan, they're not wrong. It's just a remix with deeper cuts, fewer guardrails, and way more consequences for the working people. With me making this video, I'm making it without any information, misleading evidence, or any of that. I'm here to give you guys a clear rundown of what's really happening so that you're aware of how this administration moves and how your next couple of years may be like. So, I'm going to now address the information in the media, some of the stuff I've seen, and some of the quotes that's just being put out there in the media. Um, you probably heard of folks like Charlie Kirk, Trump, and other conservative influence claiming this bill is some sort of miracle for the working families. Let's break down some of the biggest talking points and what's actually true. Claim one: no one is losing health care or assistance. Fact: the Congressional Budget Office, or CBO, estimates 11 million people will lose Medicaid, SNAP benefits, will face $300 billion in cuts, affecting millions of families, veterans, and seniors. Second claim: this bill expands job growth. Fact: job growth predictions actually show minimal impact and possibly job losses in sectors tied to losing healthcare, clean energy, and public services due to funding costs. Claim three: it lowers inflation. The bill adds 3.3 trillion to the national deficit over the next 10 years. That could actually put upward pressure on inflation, not reduce it. Claim 4: gives tax relief to working families. Fact: this bill gives some tax relief now, but those cuts expire by 2028 for the middle class. Meanwhile, tax cuts for the wealthy are permanent. A lot of these claims are technically half truths. They sound good on the surface, but when you dig deeper, they all fall apart. And here's the thing: they're counting on people not reading the actual bill. They're counting on people not asking questions. While they cut benefits, shift the burden to working people, and hand out tax breaks to the billionaires. I would say to be skeptical. Check the sources, follow the money, because when someone says this bill is beautiful, what they mean is it's beautiful for them, not for you. Okay, let's be fair. Are there any parts of this bill that can actually help people? The answer is technically yes. Temporary tax relief for middle income households. Most families will see slightly lower taxes over the next few years depending on their income level. Small business deductions. Some small business owners will get expanded tax breaks that could help with hiring or investment. Education saving expansion. Tax advantages accounts for private education get expanded, though this mainly benefits higher income families. New child savings accounts. Parents can open special accounts for kids that grow tax free. Again, better for those with extra money to save. Energy rebates. Short term rebates for households making energy efficient upgrades, but the overall clean energy investment is still being cut. So, yeah, while the bill has a few carrots to make it look appealing, most of these benefits are short lived, limited in scope, or tilted toward people who are already doing okay. In other words, the good parts are kind of the sugarcoating. They don't undo the damage from the massive cuts or long term on the middle and low income communities. There was one section I was gonna do that was just about pros and cons, but I'm gonna skip that one. There's kind of, I guess you kind of already I kind of already told you throughout the whole video the benefits and the non benefits. So do with that as you will. Um, unless you would like a list of the pros and cons. If you would like a list of the pros and cons, I will either put it up on the screen or I will put it down in the description or comment section down below. That's overall the main thing I want to talk about. That was the whole gist of it. So the big beautiful bill may sound like a win for some, but when you really break it down, it's clear that it's a win for mostly the wealthy and special interests. Most of the people stand to lose healthcare, food support, and other crucial programs to keep families afloat. This bill adds trillions to the debt while cutting support for the working class and vulnerable communities. It's a political move wrapped in flashy slogans and rushed deadlines. So whether it passes or not, we got to stay woke. We got to keep having these podcasts and these conversations talking about this, asking questions, and even hold our local representatives accountable. Knowing what's in this bill is important because it affects all of us. And that's the overall whole thing. I mean, that's all I wanted to talk about. Um, I may do a part two of this about what would actually go into place if this bill passes. So if it passes within the next couple of days, which today is the third, if it passes tomorrow, or whenever that day may be, I might make a part two over this, and we'll talk about it again. But as of now, it has not passed. I've talked to you about the pros and cons overall, and how this will affect a lot of the American people. But I just want to say thank you for sticking with me. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate the continuous support. Been working hard, doing a lot of stuff in the background, and I just want to say thank you guys for everything. You guys have been very helpful, very supportive, very vocal. So just stay woke. Um, Understand that the big the big beautiful bill isn't really how they pitch it to you. You know, they're not gonna tell you straight up the facts. That's also I didn't put that into the script, but Democrats had requested they read the bill out loud on the floor so people actually know what it's about. And they did. It took them believe it was 15 hours to read the whole thing. 990 plus page document or bill. Um, so that's all what it's about. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you guys for staying to the end. If you did, please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Leave a like if you liked it. And if you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns, let me know in the comments and I will respond to you. Thank you guys all for watching. Until the next video or podcast video. See you guys in the next video. Peace.